placebo, sham, sugar pill, dummy pill. There are a lot of words for these little guys, but no matter what you call them, they all boil down to one thing: fake pills that don't contain any active ingredients. But that doesn't mean they aren't powerful. Placebos have been shown to improve everything from Parkinson's symptoms to the common cold. The mind-blowing part, they do it without actually having any therapeutic value. These inert placebos can alleviate pain, reduce inflammation, and even shrink tumors. And today we're going to find out how your brain can make all that happen. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of this fascinating phenomenon, let's first take a step back. When someone tells you that you have a stomachache and you hand them a pill, their improvement isn't necessarily because of the pill itself. You told them it would help, so they feel better. That's called the placebo effect. Physicians have been exploiting this phenomenon for centuries by handing out sugar pills with the promise that they would cure whatever was ailing you. Now we know better than to tell patients their upset stomach will be cured by a sugar cube, but the reverse is still true. If you tell a patient that an uncoated sugar pill will relieve their stomach pain and convince them that it will work, then it probably will. But how? We didn't understand the neurobiology of the placebo effect until 2001, when researchers conducted the first double-blind placebo study on healthy volunteers. The subjects were given placebos and told that they were receiving powerful pain medication. In reality, they were getting a sugar pill with no therapeutic value whatsoever. However, when researchers measured the effects of the fake treatment, they found that it activated the same regions of the brain as real painkillers. This suggests that the placebo effect is more than just people imagining that they feel better. Instead, the brain appears to play a crucial role in converting expectation into physiological changes. In other words, if you expect a treatment to work, then your body will start making changes that align with that expectation. These changes could include boosting endorphin levels or altering blood flow to certain parts of the body. Now let's talk about what happens in the brain when a placebo works its magic. To do that, we need to revisit the brain scan of those healthy volunteers when they were given the placebo pill for key regions of the brain lit up like a Christmas tree. The first two are the thalamus and the hypothalamus. These regions are part of the limbic system and play a crucial role in processing emotions and sensations. When you eat a pill, these areas of the brain begin to anticipate what's to come. The next two flashing lights are the frontal lobe and the insula. These regions work together to control how we perceive pain. So when the thalamus and hypothalamus send signals to these areas, it kicks off a complex signaling cascade that ultimately relieves pain. But how exactly does it do that? Let's follow that signal through the body. Once the placebo is swallowed, it makes its way through the digestive system and into the bloodstream. From there, it travels to the liver, which metabolizes most drugs before they can be used by the body. Some placebos taken by mouth end up bypassing the liver entirely and heading straight to the brain via a special channel. It's here where the magic happens. The placebo activates a group of neurons that release neurotransmitters like dopamine and endogenous opioids, which are essentially the body's natural painkillers. These neurotransmitters travel to the periaqueductal gray, a region at the top of the mid. Here's where the real magic happens. The periaqueductal gray activates the descending pain inhibitory system, which originates in the brainstem and projects to multiple areas throughout the spinal cord. This system uses neurotransmitters like serotonin and norepinephrine to suppress pain signals in the spinal cord. Ultimately, this results in reduced pain perception. It is important to note that this process is almost identical to what happens when you take a real painkiller. In fact, if you gave someone a real drug and monitored their brain activity, you wouldn't be able to tell whether they were taking a placebo or not. So why would anyone bother with the placebo? Well, aside from being a great party trick, placebos can sometimes be just as effective as real drugs with fewer side effects. And you don't have to believe me. Just ask Parkinsonians around the world who are currently enrolled in clinical trials. Testing new deep brain stimulation therapies. Deep brain stimulation involves implanting electrodes in the brain and sending continuous electrical pulses to specific targets. While the procedure shows promise for treating Parkinson's disease, it comes with risks like infection and bleeding. That's why doctors often use placebos in these trials. By comparing the results of sham surgery to actual surgery, researchers can see if the treatment really works, or if patients are just feeling better because they think they're getting better. In one such trial, researchers implanted electrodes in the brains of 157 Parkinson's patients and sent continuous pulses to a region called the subthalamic nucleus. After 6 months, they compared the results to another group of patients who received sham surgeries. And guess what? Both groups improved equally. This suggests that the power of suggestion played a huge role in alleviating their symptoms. Now, you might be wondering why we would ever use a placebo if it produces similar results to surgery. Well, sometimes the placebo effect is all you need. One of the most convincing evidence for this came from a clinical trial involving 384 patients with tension headaches. They were all given 3 doses of a drug called but the last dose wasn't a real And guess what? The participants couldn't tell the difference between the real and fake versions of the drug. Not only did the placebo work just as well as the real thing, it also had fewer side effects. There are many reasons why this might be. For one, some drugs can cause unpleasant side effects like nausea, dizziness, and drowsiness. Because placebos don't contain the active ingredients that cause these side effects, they may be a safer alternative. Additionally, the placebo effect has been shown to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps to calm the body down. This may explain why some people feel less anxious and more relaxed after taking a placebo pill. But the placebo effect isn't just limited to physical symptoms. In fact, it's been shown to improve mental health symptoms too. In one study, researchers divided 156 depressed patients into 2 groups. One group received the antidepressant drug fluoxetine, and the other got a placebo. After 8 weeks, both groups showed significant improvements in their symptoms. This suggests that the power of belief can play a significant role in alleviating mental health issues. However, it's important to note that the placebo effect is not a cure. In some cases, it can actually do more harm than good. That's why it's crucial to conduct randomized controlled trials to determine the effectiveness of a treatment. By comparing the results to a placebo, researchers can determine whether a drug or therapy is truly effective or if the results are due to the placebo effect. So what happens when a treatment seems to work, but it's really just a placebo? That's where nocebo comes in. Nocebo is the opposite of placebo. If placebo is a positive expectation, then nocebo is a negative expectation. Basically, if you tell someone that something is dangerous, they might start experiencing symptoms that align with those expectations. For example, if you tell someone that a certain food will give them an upset stomach, they may start feeling nauseous after consuming that food. Or if you warn someone that a medication can cause dizziness, they may start feeling lightheaded after taking it. In fact, this phenomenon has been studied extensively in the medical field. In one study, published in the British Medical Journal, researchers found that warning patients about the common side effects of a drug led to an increase in those side effects. Specifically, they've found that 25% of patients who were not warned about potential side effects reported experiencing them. But that number jumped to 57% for patients who were warned. This highlights the importance of not giving patients false information, even if it's in the best interest of the patient. By understanding the power of nocebo, physicians can avoid doing more harm than good. For example, if a patient asks about the potential side effects of a medication, it's best to be honest and open rather than trying to sugarcoat things. Of course, it's not always easy to predict how patients will react to certain medications. Some people may be more susceptible to the nocebo effect than others, but by being upfront about the potential risks, physicians can help their patients make informed decisions about their treatment. As we learned earlier, the placebo effect can be a powerful tool for improving health outcomes. By harnessing the brain's natural healing abilities, we can develop new and innovative ways to treat disease and alleviate suffering. But it is also important to be aware of the nocebo effect and the potential harms of negative expectations. By understanding both sides of this coin, we can use the power of suggestion responsibly and ethically to improve the lives of patients around the world.